You're listening to Navid Moosa of the Mindset Movement. Hey guys, Navid Moosa here from Navid Moosa, the Mindset Movement, the podcast. So welcome back to part 2 of our miniseries. Last week we spoke about cryptocurrency. So if you didn't, I encourage you to listen to that episode. And then this episode here, episode 2, we talk about NFTs and Web 3.0. And exactly what it is. I didn't know there was Web 2.0, let alone a 3.0. So we're going to dig into that and talk about all the craze we're hearing about NFTs and Web 3.0. Okay, so we've talked about crypto, and now let's go on to NFT slash metaverse slash Web 3.0. So for those who don't know, can you break down Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0? Is there something you can do?
Yeah. So Web 1, I'm sure it's not really what they called it back then. Maybe they did, but
they did. They just called it Web.
Okay,
that was it.
There you go. Right. Yeah. World Wide Web. So that was just when we first were able to connect to the internet, right? Connect wirelessly to each other from computer to computer. But these were very basic forms. These were like very simple, basic websites. Not like social. It wasn't social media, right? Web 2.0 came in, and this is when you had these interactive social pages like MySpace, or like let's fast forward to Twitter and Facebook. And you had all these like Silicon Valley companies that were owned by VCs. And, they were the ones that were rich off of these platforms. And the users, us, we're using these platforms for what we think is free. But obviously we're just generating data and data and data every day, all day. So that's Web 2.0. You have all these big companies with these platforms, and they're the ones enjoying the fruits to this labor. Now Web 3 comes along and tries to flip this script and says, okay, well, let's take this open collaborative approach, where the value comes from the community, the value comes from us, and it's owned by us. So here I'll tie in NFTs, for example. So let's say you have like, I'm a punk holder, but I'll mention the Bored Ape Yacht Club, another prolific profile picture, NFT project, we'll just call it. And they come up with 10,000 tokens and they sell them to the community at once. So it sells out. Now everyone has one of these 10,000 tokens, or maybe they have 2, 3, or more. Now the products are out there. Sure, you have these 2 or 3 founders that are leading the way, but there's only 10,000, and it's owned by everyone but the founders for the most part, right? So who's really in control of this shit? The token holders. There's 3,000 or 4,000 of them. So the idea of Web3 is to have this relationship between community and ecosystem, if you may, and be open and collaborative. That's kind of like an overview to Web3 for now.
All right, so we have Web. Yeah, like I said, they were just called World Wide Web. There wasn't a Web 1.0. I didn't know there was Web 2.0 until I heard Web 3.0. Like I said, I didn't know. I was like,
oh, me neither, actually.
Really? Yeah, when everyone said Web 3.0, I'm like, what the hell was 2.0? Like, I had no clue. But then and that's what I was like, if you could break it down, and you did. So we'll go back. So again, I'm 47 years old, or 46. I'll be 47 in like next month. So when I was in school, www dot whatever just came out, right? Internet in general was just born, and it was a whole dial-up stuff. AOL was the only company out there, and it would just, you go to this and you read information. right? And so that was basically eliminating the library, sort of, or minimizing a library because you get the information that way. So that was just 1.0, you getting data, and that was it. There was no back and forth chatter. It was, instead of you going to an encyclopedia or to a book, you would go on the internet, get the data from there, and then you were done. That's Web 1.0. Web 2.0 is, like you say, that's the more interactive stuff. MySpace being the very first social media that I'm aware of. I don't think before that. Then MySpace became then Facebook, then like I said, then Twitter, then Instagram, and it was a interaction. So Web 1.0 was just you getting the data, peace out, I'm done. Web 2.0 is you interacting with the data that's out there, right? I think before Google was even around, it was Vista or something like that. Company was out there for searching. So that's Web 2.0. Now, the way you're explaining it, Web 3.0 is taking everything to the next level. Yes, we had data exchanges in Web 2.0, the social media. But like you said, I mean, obviously, if you follow some tech news, stocks or not, you know, Apple and Facebook are always going at it because they want control of this data, and stuff like that. So Web 3.0 came out and said, you know what, the hell with this. And you mentioned the phrase, you said VCs, venture capitalists. Venture capitalists are the ones who guys got the money. Say, listen, we have the cash. Therefore, we're going to invest our money into this technology to get your data and control your data, however we deem fit. Web 3.0 said, nah, check that. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and create our own sphere, our own ecosystem, and we're going to let people know what it is. And so this, like you had said, you know, the board ape club or whatever that was. And you had said CryptoPunk. Now I've heard CryptoPunk, but I've never fully learned it. So before we get too much into that, you had said about like these, about the 10,000 tokens that were out there. If I got a token, okay, if I bought a token, what does it do? What's the value of me holding that token? Like, why get it?
So that's that's the $1 million question. That's what people don't understand. So that's why people don't join this space. They don't understand what, and it makes perfect sense. You know, what is this JPEG? What is this picture online that I can just save, right click save, and now I own it, right? No, that's not the case, because we have to remember the ledger. The ledger provides proof of ownership, proof of everything. It provides proof. So let's say you buy this this token. Now you're part of this community. You're one of, 5,000 holders or 7,000 holders. Now this can bring to you whatever benefits this community or the founders choose to do. Maybe it's just a piece of artwork and you're just collecting, this scarce piece of art from an artist you like, or back to like this, just for an example, or for the Bored Apes. In this case, you're now a part of a very strong community in this NFT space. You're also going to have exclusive benefits for whatever they choose to do. For example, in New York, the first week of November, there was NFT NYC, which was this huge conference for NFTs. And now all these NFT communities obviously are going to these events. So everyone's around in the same vicinity in the same time. So what they're doing is throwing these parties. So if you own an ape, you can have access to this yacht party on this one day.
So that's the utility, right? That's what they call it.
That's utility.
That's the utility. Okay.
Right. And then the utility is the magic word here. It's what's the utility of this token? So the more utility you build into a token, the more use cases, the more value you bring to this token holder, essentially, the more valuable this token is going to be. So,
so essentially, you're putting yourself in a room with a whole bunch of like-minded individuals,
right?
And that is amazing. Like, here's how I know you're talking, and I'm thinking about this. I'm like, damn, you're basically putting yourself in a room with a whole bunch of like-minded people, and some of them could be at a level that you're trying to get to.
Right.
So when you put yourself in that kind of room, like the possibilities are endless of where you can take yourself, your business, your mentality. And kind of, it's almost like being in a room with like Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, Pac, uh, Jermaine Dupri, and just all these guys and stuff like that. And just all the knowledge that they have of the industry, the music industry, for example. And if you're someone who just happens to have one hit record and got enough money to buy that one token, now you bought the utility of being in a room with them on a yacht party, you have access to that network.
Exactly.
That's so okay. Now it's starting to click for me. Because you pay 10 grand, and I'm just throwing a number. I think you pay 10 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, the one time. But the amount of money you could then return off that investment, essentially, because you put yourself in that room, right? It's like you hear that, you always hear that saying, I want a seat at the table. Well, here's your chance to get a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Right. So that's wow, dude. That's actually that's actually freaking amazing. All right, so let's talk about the crypto punks. I've heard of that. What exactly is that? And do you own one?
Yeah, so I actually don't. I right click saves one. Just don't tell anybody. So CryptoPunks are one of the first NFT collections that were created on ever. They live on the Ethereum blockchain, and they were created in 2017 by a couple software engineers as an experiment. They coded up some software that generated some traits like beanie or beard, clown nose, and they told the program to shuffle 10,000 unique outcomes. So each token is different.
Wow.
There's no two same. And they were actually given out for free. They were given out for free when they had first came out.
What?
And 4 years later, they're selling. Some are selling for millions of dollars.
Oh
So
my goodness.
that just goes to show the power of community, the power of your token holders, right? The respect that they put on these digital assets. It gives the space some authenticity, to see how far the punks and the community and the NFT community as a whole has came. And me purchasing a CryptoPunk was a bet on the space that it will continue this growth. And I think it's done that. And I bought it for the utility of networking and the utility of access to whatever Larva Labs will build, which is the people who created it, CryptoPunks. And yeah, so that was my bet on the space, my bet on CryptoPunks, my bet on NFTs, because this is one of the first projects. It's very historical and holds a lot of historical value. So I
how
made that
does
purchase.
a hell of a bet, by the way. Great job on that bet there. So which then begs to answer the question. How does one have that vision? Like what told you, what in your mind said, you know what? I see something with this. Like I see, because again, because this is all digital, this is all imaginary. I don't say imagine, that's a bad word. Because it's digital, something we can't touch, right? That's the society we are. If we can't touch it or hold it or feel it, we don't want anything to do with it, right? Because we think it's fake, we think it's a scam. But on the flip side, if we know, oh, this painting was done by Pollock, or this painting was a Renoir, this painting was this, people are willing to pay everything because to them, like, oh, it's a famous, it's a famous artist who drew this or something like that. So it's worth 50 million, 70 million. And then that same mindset can be, in my opinion, can be transferred to this, to seeing, people like, that's an ape who has a crown on it. Who the hell is going to pay something like that? Well, here's a picture of a guy missing an ear with a whole bunch of moons in the background, which is worth about $75 million. Who's going to pay $75 million for that? Right. So it's almost the same concept, the same thing. Obviously, hindsight's 2020 on everything when it comes to financial success. But what made you say, yo, I'm in? this is something I could get on board with and I can see it growing? What made it click for you?
Well, when I first joined this space, so I actually wasn't using Twitter at that time. I had stopped using it back in like high school, and a couple of years later, I had like cleaned out my following list. So I was following 0 people, and it was just a clean Twitter. I deleted all my tweets, everything. And as I slowly got into crypto, and then got into NFTs, I would start saving resources on my Twitter. So I would see this project that's cool. I look into it, and I'll find the founder, and I'll check his Twitter out. And I started realizing that a lot of these founders and these significant figures have Twitter. So I started to use Twitter more. And I'm like, and then I'm starting to realize that most of these people in these high positions are crypto punks. I see these punks everywhere. So now I'm like, all right, what are these crypto punks? I look into these crypto punks, and I fell in love with them. I was looking at all of them, and like, just I was amazed. I was amazed by this pixel art, that people just held high regard for. It was just, it caught my attention. And as I learned more about, you know, NFTs and the space as a whole, I kind of started to understand that a lot of things that were built kind of came from thought leaders, right? It came from these trailblazers, and a lot of these thought leaders and trailblazers happen to have crypto punks. And I just realized there's a strong connection here. So obviously I started paying close attention to these crypto punks, and they were going to have a sale, a public sale or auction, I forget, at Christie's, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It was like 2 or 3 months out, and this is gonna, bring worldwide exposure to these digital images. You're gonna have these NFTs offered at this traditional um, um, auction house. That's huge. That was huge for this space. It was huge for NFTs. It was huge for the crypto punks, and I knew that, that, as well as they had something else in the mix. They had things planned that is going to bring exposure and excitement directly to the crypto punks and the NFT space as a whole. I saw this coming, and I said, these punks are pricey already, but after this happens, they'll be unattainable for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my conviction came from.
Okay.
And ever since then, I just wanted one, and I was watching this one for weeks. I was gathering funds, and a couple of days before I was ready to purchase this punk, it got bought up right in front of my eyes, and I'm like, I was devastated. I didn't know what to think, and a couple of days later, my funds came in. I was looking through these punks, and I pulled the trigger on the one that I have now. And it was actually the 4th of July, so I actually felt relieved after this purchase, and I went outside, and I saw fireworks, and I was like, this is awesome.
There you go. That's your sign.
Yeah, it was totally unplanned, but it happened. It turned out well.
So for those who aren't aware, Christie's is a very, very popular high-end auction. It's a physical building. It's a brick and mortar spot. And they sell everything from vases to artworks to antiques of any kind, real estate. I mean, they sell everything, and it's all high-end stuff. High-end stuff that's either old, discontinued, or just has some kind of unattainable value to it, if you will, and they put a number on it. Understand what he just said. Understand that this movement, if you will, this new class that's being formed, that's here to stay, and it's a force to be reckoned with, went into a high-end spot that takes only physical stuff and sold a digital asset, something you never can actually ever touch and hold, ever, and they sold it in there. Can you imagine what it takes to do that? Like, not just a set of balls in that dude. No, what it takes to actually, the conviction, which is the word you use, and I'm going to steal that word, the conviction you have to have within yourself and within that product to say, hey, listen, this is what this is going to do. We know it's going to do it, and we're going to prove it to you guys. So, and you're the second or third person who I heard mention Twitter. So I literally I created a Twitter account like 4 or 5 years ago, never use it. I just started using it last year, very minimal. But you're the second or third person who I said, Twitter is where the information is. You got to get on Twitter. You got to get on Twitter. For someone who's listening to this and someone who hopefully you've piqued the interest of this space. So before we get into that, let's explain what an NFT is. Okay. Yes, I know if I Google it, it says non-fungible token. I get that. I know how to read, right? What's a non-fungible? What the hell is fungible? What's a non-fungible token and what's a fungible token?
Okay, that's awesome question. So let's start with, we know the blockchain is a ledger. That's layer one.
Okay.
That is bare bones. Now you have these fungible tokens and you have these non-fungible tokens. Fungible tokens are something that, like, if I hand you $5, you can hand me back 5 ones and it still equals the same value. That's fungible token. Like Bitcoin. I send you 1 Bitcoin, you can send me back
whatever
2
Ethereum
halves
of
Bitcoin, and we're exchanging the same amount of value. That's fungible, like a stock, right? Like a dollar. Non-fungible is a unique asset, like a piece of art.
Okay.
That's an NFT, a non-fungible token. You can't rip an artwork in half and say, here's half the value, here's the other half. No, it's not fungible. You can't give me $5 and I can give you 5 ones back. It doesn't work like that. Non-fungible are unique. Okay, they're not divisible. Kind of like how I like to call it. So you have these JPEGs and these videos and these, whatever the case may be, these GIFs, and they're non-fungible. They're unique. They're pieces of art. So that's the difference between a non-fungible token, an NFT, and a fungible token. And I think you asked something else in there.
So I wouldn't know the difference was. No, but then I'm glad you said that because that does take me to another question I did want to ask. You said yourself it's a GIF, it's a JPEG. Well, can I just right click on it, download it, and save it?
Right. Yes, you can. You can right click save the JPEG, but you don't own that token that lives on the blockchain.
Now, how do you know that? How if I go to your webpage, right? I go to your website and you've got your picture of what you just bought, that CryptoPunk is on there. I can go to your website, right click and save it, and then crop it out, and it looks like it's mine.
Right. So here's the thing. These NFTs, they live on the blockchain. So if you would like to buy this NFT, the CryptoPunk is in my wallet. The NFT. The NFT is in my wallet. It lives in my wallet right now. I have possession of it. Now, if you wanted to acquire this from me, it would have to go from my wallet to your wallet, the NFT, as a whole. So we can get a little technical here. So NFTs, tokens, they're actually contracts. They're actually contracts that you can interact with these contracts. Now this can get technical. This can get very technical, but I'll keep it simple. Unless you think we can dive in deep.
I mean, we'll see how. Explain it the best way you can, and we'll do our best to try to just work with it. It is what it is.
Simply put, I mean, these NFTs are contracts where you can send funds to this contract and it'll transfer it to my wallet. You interact with these contracts, and inside this contract, right, this code is, to keep it simply, is the JPEG. So the picture is actually just a part of the NFT. It's just how it looks. It's inside the NFT.
So basically, there's a whole bunch of code that's written. The code is the contract.
Yes.
And for lack of a better term, a contract full of coding is a whole bunch of words and numbers. And if you compile that and want to say, what does this contract look like in a picture? That's what the JPEG is. the JPEG image reflects the coding within the contract?
The JPEG is included in the contract. The coding can say, okay, if I receive funds, send send or transfer token to where we receive funds from. That would be like the payment,
Okay.
Or the purchase function, right? You can have many functions in this contract, and as well in this contract is a link pointing to where the picture will be saved or stored at, right?
Okay.
So OpenSea is a marketplace. OpenSea is a marketplace where most of the NFT trading takes place today.
All right. So OpenSea, guys, it's OpenSea.io. It's a website. Think of eBay.
Yeah, or Amazon.
Or Amazon, or whatever. Think of that. OpenSea is a website where people would sell and auction off their NFTs, these JPEGs, essentially. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So OpenSea, you'll connect your wallet to OpenSea, and then you'll say, hey, you'll post this picture, or I'm sorry, picture NFT for sale, and OpenSea will pull this token information, and it'll scan the code basically and see where the image is located. It'll grab that image, and that's what you'll see to represent the NFT, and boom, that's how your NFT looks.
So the NFT is your actual proof of ownership of whatever the contract states.
Yeah, the proof of ownership is being able to go into this ledger, right? Because this ledger is, I didn't say this either, but this ledger is open and public for anybody to see.
And where is this ledger accessible at? Where can...
So for the Ethereum network, you can go to etherscan.io. That's ether, ETHER, scan.io. Okay. And you can plug in your address or your friend's address, and you can see everything. You can see all the transactions. You can see their fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens that they're currently holding.
And when you're saying
it's all public.
Okay, so if I'm buying an NFT off an OpenSea, and I use ETH to purchase it, Ethereum to purchase it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm buying a token. It's a picture of a fish tank. It's the Fish Tank Club. I'm buying it, and the utility for that, and it's yours, for example. You're selling it, I'm buying it on OpenSea. And the utility of that is for me to able to talk to you for 1 hour a week to educate myself in this digital space.
Perfect.
Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go attach my wallet, my MetaMask wallet to OpenSea's website. I'm going to make the purchase on OpenSea to buy the tank off of you via OpenSea. I now own the tank as a JPEG. It's stored into my MetaMask wallet. To verify I'm the authentic owner of it, somebody has to go to this Ethereum scan website, and what would they type in? Do I give them a number or an address to verify, or how does that work?
So you can send them your address and they can see what you're holding, or you can send them what you call a transaction hash, which is basically a receipt for a transaction. So I can paste in this hash, and it'll take me directly to this transaction of you buying it from me, for how much, what time, how much the gas fee was. All the information is public. There's no company that wants this data for themselves. No, we got to remember this blockchain, this ledger technology is ran by computers. It's automated. It's ran by simple rules, and it's going to run by these simple rules. And that's how it's going to continue to function.
Yeah, I think we're so used to the human interaction, right? Because we're private people. We don't want, it's weird because we're on social media sharing our lives, but we're private people at the same time, because we don't want people knowing we paid for something. But the data is out there. It's in a ledger, like you said, and this ledger this ledger indicates the full transaction. Now you're saying I get a receipt, and the receipt is in hash. Do you mean hash as in, hashtag Navi bought this? Is that what you mean,
Oh
like
no,
something
no,
like
no.
that, or?
Well, I don't want to say receipt is just a concept. The hash is just like a string of numbers
Oh, okay, all right, all right, all right.
or letters, and it comes with every transaction. So I can send you that so you can plug it in and check out this transaction that happened.
Hey guys, Navid Moosa here, Navid Moosa, Mindset with the podcast. Stay tuned for part 3, where we discuss how things like NFTs, Web 3.0, cryptocurrency, and all this digital talk basically will impact our future in multiple ways and in multiple businesses. Check us out on the next episode, the final episode of this mini series, discussing the digital world we're moving into.